Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxson, your host, here with you, and this is episode 187 on the Undercover Comp. Episode 187 of the show, and I have joined here this week by my brother, Aaron.
Hello!
And Mr. Mark Brew.
Hello.
On his birthday. Happy birthday, Mark.
Happy birthday.
On his birthday, he had to watch something today.
I thought I was getting a present. Turned out I got fucking pranked.
Were you 36?
33.
33?
Double hat trick.
This week on the show, we are reviewing Puerto Rican wrestling. We're going down Puerto Rico way. The World Wrestling Council. The show is called Hot Night in Bayamon, right? Am I correct? Bayamon is how that was pronounced.
Yes.
Should have
fire
been
match.
Steaming pile of shit.
And just to put the time frame in perspective here, this is in 1988. It is in September of 1988, which is 2 months after Bruiser Brody was stabbed. So I guess we know why Invader 1 wasn't on this show.
Well, I mean, no wonder they had the caliber of talent they did there.
That whole thing is some bullshit. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure some people that listen to this show watch Dark Side of the Ring, and I kind of knew the story beforehand, but just all the things that went down with that Bruiser Brody murder investigation, lots of bullshit. Like Tony Atlas and Jimmy Snuka getting their subpoenas 10 days after the trial was over, so they didn't even get to testify. There was all kind of shady shit that went on with that whole deal.
Yeah. And I was gonna say it, like, I don't want the whole show to be a Brody thing or whatever, but that it was a despicable act that happened to him, and I think not that Tony Atlas was like the worst victim of it, because obviously he wasn't, because he's still alive or whatever, but I think he got a lot of unnecessary grief from people in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if he would have went back, even if it would have been 10 days before, you know, if you're a human being and you're like, they did that to him, being Brody, and now I have to go back to this fucking place and test.
What are they going to do to me?
What are they going to do to me? You know what I mean? And so I think Atlas gets a lot of unnecessary criticism or grief in it.
I agree. But there's no promotion. I don't know if there's a promotion in the like a major promotion. Let's say that. I don't know if there's a major promotion that has had more murderers and rubes work for it than the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico. And I'm not even saying that there isn't some Puerto Rico shit that I don't like. Because what I can tell you is this. I mean, of course, my initial introduction to him, because I was a young teenager, my initial introduction to Abdullah the Butcher was seeing him on WCW TV. But I can say as a kid, watching Abdullah the Butcher fascinated me. It doesn't so much now, because I see the trick and I see the smoke and mirrors. But when I was a kid, he was so scary. And he's not on this show. We're talking about two people that aren't even on the show. But I'm just saying, like, as far as Puerto Rico goes, I know Abby wasn't a very talented wrestler, and from all accounts, he's kind of a piece of shit human being. But he was a great heel character. Because when I was a kid, I was petrified of him. His look scared me.
And wrestling wise, I don't want to say it. In wrestling, you don't necessarily have to be the greatest wrestler,
right,
to be entertaining. You know what I mean? Like Abby, like one of my favorite visuals of Abby was like on a wrestling tape that I hadn't even watched until we rented it, and it was like the one that made me rent it was like him biting the rope. When the blood run down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that? I want to see it. So I'm gonna rent it. I think it was a WCCW. It was probably a WCCW tape or whatever. Where he's fucking fighting Kerry or something. But it's like I want to see that. You know what I mean?
There was a promo that I saw with him later in life, but one that sticks out for me is there's one he is on I think it's World Class, and of course Gary Hart's his manager, and Gary Hart's talking, and Abby literally has this block of wood or something, and talk about living your gimmick. Like, it's not gimmicked. He's just chewing on it, and it's like coming to pieces in his mouth. He's just eating this wood for the camera, you know. And then there's the one we always make fun of where he eats that fake fly. But
yeah, but like talking about a gimmick and this, and then we can go into whatever you want to. But I just saw an image of him. Like, would you, Nate or Mark, tell me that George Steele was a 5-star wrestler?
No.
Nope.
But would you tell me he's a 5-star gimmick?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see that fucking gimmick. George Steele did nothing in the fucking ring. You know what I mean?
He embodied the saying less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how Abby was, and some of the people on this show are. That it's the entertainment value of it.
And as we go through this is obviously we've watched it on YouTube. It's dubbed from a VHS tape of this show that they distributed, so it could have English language. I have an observation to make when I introduce who the commentators are. The commentators are Hugo Savinovich, who those of you might know from the WWF on the Spanish announce team, but he was a wrestler and he worked for World Wrestling Council before he went there. And he is joined by the Batten twins, who actually the first time that you see them, if you're watching through the history of wrestling, I think they started in World Class.
You mean that wasn't Joe Dirt's dad?
I call them double butt heads. If you shave their beard off, they look like butthead.
And my other observation, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but I swear to God, they used this tape to turn these guys heel.
Oh, they definitely did.
They start the tape.
They start off as like smiling baby faces.
Yeah.
Like the one at the left, he looks like a cardboard cutout when he's standing there and his brother's talking. Like he's just standing there smiling like a fucking dildo,
like a chode.
And his brother's talking, and they're at the beginning of it, they're like, oh, this is World Wrestling Council. This is fantastic. And as the show goes, fucking Bart must have been drinking or whatever. Because as the show goes, he is fucking livid.
No, listen, this is what I'm saying. Like, as the show goes, and we can just talk about it now, but as the show goes on, just to give you in perspective, folks, like Aaron said, when you start the video, they are smiling babyface tag team. Then at some point, one brother turns heel, and the other one's still a face, and they're kind of arguing. And then by the time the video's over, they've both turned on Hugo. They've both turned on all of the World Wrestling Council, and they're full-fledged heels.
Yes,
through commentary.
Yeah, it's like Bart goes sideways at the beginning. He's like, these fucking Puerto Ricans living on this rock. Fucking
these people drinking their beer, sitting on their couch at home.
You fat bellied truck drivers or whatever. His brother's like, settle the fuck down, dude.
And then by the end of it, his brother's like, fat bellied truck drivers.
Fuck them.
It's
like
great.
Me. It's like
I
me
thought
and
it was great.
It's like me and Nate at Christmas.
Was it just me though? Did you? All right, because I'm used to hearing Savinovich doing the Spanish commentation on WWE and stuff. Mm-hmm. So when I heard him and I heard him speaking in English, am I the only one that thought that's Santino fucking Morello? Legit, I had to do a double take. Like
you gotta.
You ever watch just like Santino?
You ever watch the Jake Roberts Pick Your Poison DVD? One of the greatest interviews on there is Hugo, because Hugo, when Jake was in Puerto Rico, Hugo used to run around with Jake. And then, Jake's doing all the drugs and all the cocaine and all the drinking and everything. And Hugo's like, I had to go to Jake one night and I told him, man, I have to get away from you.
I have to get away from you, man. You're going to kill me. I got to get away.
I can't say no to that much cocaine.
Right.
And in this thing, fucking Hugo's like, which one of you said that? I don't know what's going on. Like, these Batten twins start out as like fucking white meat, fucking Tommy Rogers baby faces, and by the end of it, they're trying to cut fucking
like, shut up, Hugo.
Yeah, they're trying to cut fucking Bobby Heenan promos at the end of it. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, to start this show, and boy, what a way to start it off. The opening match, the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, and Rufus R. Jones versus the Wild Samoans. And it is every bit as bad as you would think it is, folks.
Oh, my God. Whenever I first saw the Boogie Woogie Man here, I was like, damn, Michael Hayes really let himself go. And then as more and more I'm watching, and then I see Rufus R. Jones, I'm like, the fuck is this like the black version of Dusty down here?
Oh, that's funny that you brought that up, because my notes are that the Boogie Woogie Man always looks like he slightly smells like piss. Like, not full on piss, like he didn't piss himself, but at some point during the afternoon he did. But he didn't take the time to go home and change.
Yeah, he looks like he should have been the gimmick Skinner that Kern had.
Like minuscule piss. Like, what is that? Is that like when you smell like ammonia?
Right.
Yeah.
It smells a little bit like cat pee.
Yeah. It's like, is that ammonia? It's like, oh no, it's Jimmy Valiant. There he is. You know? And then that was what I looked up, because I was like, did Dusty Rhodes steal from Rufus R? I almost said Doofus R. Jones.
That'll work.
It's close enough.
But I put, did Dusty Rhodes steal from Rufus R. Jones, or did Rufus R. Jones steal from Dusty Rhodes? And I looked it up, and they started at the same fucking time. So that's what I'm wondering, because Dusty started as a heel, and I think Rufus was always a face.
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
So I think Dusty stole his mannerisms from Rufus.
And to be honest, folks, I know we're shitting on Rufus because I'm not a big fan, and I know these guys aren't either. But what I will say, and this goes back to the the difference between today and territory wrestling. The territory he wrestled in, Rufus R. Jones was over enough where when Flair came to the territory, that was the guy that was wrestling Flair for the world championship. So, yeah, we don't like him, but you got to give him the credit in that where he was fucking over.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying I hate him, because, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Dusty, honestly, stole shit from Rufus.
Well,
like the flip-flop and fly and the boogie and all that shit. Because he was always a face, as far as I know. And I'm not going to say I'm a Rufus R. Jones expert.
Right.
But I think Dusty when he became a face, took a lot of that shit away from him. Obviously, here, Rufus is taken from Dusty because he's wearing polka dot tights and he's doing all that. But I really do think that Dusty was kind of like Elvis. Elvis stole a lot of shit.
Yeah, but he stole it well.
More talented black people before him, and I think Dusty did that. And I'm not knocking Dusty for it. I'm not knocking Elvis for it.
Well, I'll give Rufus R. Jones credit for this. After all the years of wearing down on his body, it was cool that he finally came out with Dusty Rhodes, because you can't tell me that wasn't the black lady that was with Dusty.
Rufus R. Jones was Sapphire.
That's kind of funny.
The facial similarities are uncanny.
That is kind of funny, though. Who is Rufus R. Jones' adopted child?
Slick.
Yep.
Did you know that, Mark?
Yeah.
Well, that's where he got his dance moves from.
Well, this match is terrible.
Oh, it's fucking trash.
And then I was like, man, especially seeing the Samoans, and I was like expecting this to be a decent match.
Yeah, they're way past their prime at this point, though, and they're just getting that paycheck, which
everybody
you can't.
does in this fucking match.
See, the funny thing that one of the notes that I took down was the WWC is known for blood, fire, brawling outside the ring. Yet they have an over-the-top rope disqualification rule. I was like, well, that's kind of oddly placed here.
I just like watching it. I was like, man, this must be like purgatory, where the promotions when they're in between deciding if we're going to send them somewhere for hell or we're going to give them a bunch of money and make it heaven for them. And this is where they send them till they decide.
But they, like you said, they're known for blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're also known for guts, and everybody in this match had guts.
Had guts.
Big old beer guts.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Samoans throw, I think it's Jimmy Valiant over the top rope, and Jimmy and Rufus win by disqualification. Jimmy and Rufus. Come on down, Jimmy and Rufus. We got the best carpet in town.
We got discount tires.
And carpet.
Retreaded, y'all.
So yeah, retreaded tires down here at Rufus and Jimmy's.
Good shit.
Boogie woogie on down.
Boogie woogie on down here, Rufus and Jimmy's. Reshredded tires
and carpet.
And carpet.
And carpet remnants. Carpet remnants. It's just remnants.
Carpet remnants.
We'll turn it into a space rug for you.
I can show you the world on my
retread carpet remnant tire. All right. Up next here, we have the Puerto Rican title on the line as Ricky Santana, who I actually like Ricky Santana.
I like Ricky Santana. We'll get into that.
And he's wrestling Mr. Pogo. And Mr. Pogo has a masked manager. What did they say his name was? Mr. Profi or Dr. Profi? Something Profi?
El Prophet.
Oh, well, I kept hearing them say Profi. So I don't know. Maybe they were just pronouncing
maybe they couldn't pronounce the T.
But on Ricky Santana, the most I've ever seen of him was kind of the brief time he was in Crockett.
Yeah.
And then he was also on the IWCCW. He was in one of the matches that they played all the time on IWCCW. I think it was Ricky Santana and Tony Atlas, maybe. But I always have thought he was kind of underrated. Like he was a decent promo.
He was a solid worker.
Yeah,
and he was a decent promo.
He was the guy. He was the perfect guy. He was the guy that would cut the promo in English and then cut the little promo in Spanish for the Spanish crowd. You know,
it's like you don't got to waste time editing for the subtitles, bitch. I just did it for you.
and he was a solid worker, and I got really nothing. How do I want to say it? Like nothing great to say about him, but nothing bad to say about him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like he's a good middle of the card guy that you're gonna get a good match out of.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've thought about that, and these are stupid things that I think about when I'm watching wrestling. But that time that he was in Crockett, a couple times that he was on, he was in a suit. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I don't know how his promo would be, but he would look pretty good as a heel too, because he looked kind of like a heel in a suit, you know. But and like you said about him, nothing good to say, nothing bad to say. It's kind of where I was on this match. I didn't hate it.
Pogo sucks.
But well, then Ricky got something good out of him here, because I didn't hate this match at all. I thought that these two guys worked well together.
Well, I mean, when you're gonna promote something and book it, you're gonna put guys in there that can accentuate the positives and hide the negatives. So
Mm-hmm.
Ricky
The
was that
only
guy, obviously.
the only other shit that I've ever seen of Mr. Pogo was the stuff that he did in FMW.
Yeah, I thought
And
my
that's what I'm
first
saying.
impression.
Pogo sucks.
This is my first time seeing him, but I will say this: my first impression was, is this bootleg Great Muda?
Fat Muda.
No, it's bootleg Abdullah.
It's great value Muda meets Abdullah.
So Dollar Tree Love Child.
Yeah, Pogo sucked.
I was wondering the whole time where the fuck's his stick. It's like you got a gimmick like Pogo. You have to have like a Pogo stick.
It'd be great to see his fat ass hopping around on Pogo.
Can you imagine that? A little fat joker
with this ridiculous manager with them, and now that's something I can sink my teeth into.
Lady Gaga's out there.
Oh God.
It's Mr. Pogo on a steak.
Lady Gaga's out there. She goes, "Oh, this match will suck." I was gonna try to do a because Lady Gaga had that pogo stick match, her pogo stick song. I was trying to think of it late. I'll think of it at the end of it. Welcome.
Well, like I said, I wrote down the match. To me, it was pretty decent. Ricky Santana wins with a sunset flip and retains the Puerto Rican championship, and then, of course, gets attacked after the match by Pogo, signaling that apparently their feud is not over.
Isn't that wild though? Like, in this day and age, the sunset flip was that like he could finish a match with that. Nowadays, it's something you see 4 or 5 times during a match.
Yeah, well, and it's because that art is lost.
Mm-hmm.
The art of wrestling. I'm not going to say it's dead because that once you say it's dead, then there's like a Seth Rollins match that I'm just like, that was amazing. But
the art of a finisher
He's trained by the right people.
Dead. The art of a finisher is what's dead. Once that finisher was hit back then,
mm-hmm. DDT
matches
same with the DDT,
right?
You know,
or the
that's why.
Go ahead. Super kick. That's the one that pisses me off.
Yeah,
because like I'm not saying that the super kick's the greatest finisher in the world or whatever. Honestly, I should say it might be because that might be the best fucking finisher. That I think that's better than the fucking DDT. Like if somebody drops you on your head, you might be able to pop back up. But if some motherfucker just kicks you in the fucking jaw and just drops you, you're gonna be fucking done. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Down goes Frazier.
Yeah. Now fucking goddamn.
The young cooks and all them
little kids are just fucking kicking you with it.
The one finisher that never got killed off, and it's not thanks to the guy that originally did it, but the one finisher that never got killed off was the diamond cutter, because Randy Orton took it as the RKO, and when Randy Orton hits an RKO, 99% of the time the fucking match is over.
Yep.
And it's like Aaron said, just about Seth Rollins. He learned from the right people.
Yeah,
and he's probably like the only time my RKO is gonna get eaten and kicked out of is in fucking WrestleMania or whatever, and I'm trying to have some suspense.
Right.
I bet he decides when somebody kicks out of that.
That fucking that he hit on Seth that year.
Oh, it's insane.
That was fucking wow, bro.
And the right guy. I don't always say it. And it's not even the fact that it like lays the people out, but where Randy's great, because Randy's fucking great.
Well, he's the greatest wrestler of his generation.
Yes, he is. And you guys know how I feel about DDP. Not a big fan. Where I will put that over is the fact that everything that I understand, Randy asked DDP, "Are you okay if I fucking steal your finish and use it?"
Yeah.
I don't think the Young Bucks called Sean and said, "Hey,
You care if we kill the super kick?" Because I would even
Sean would have been like, "No."
I would even say
every fucking 27 seconds and fucking steal
it. That's what I was about to say. I would even say, even though it's his own move, Brock Lesnar killed the F5.
Yep.
Because half of his matches have like 9 of them. So why would I think it's that devastating when you have a match with Lashley and he kicks out of 5 of them? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Also, like you're saying with that though, like they say about what Hogan and the 5 moves of doom and shit. Brock's that same type of wrestler. Suplex, F5. And Brock lock. That's all you're getting.
But the difference,
I'm afraid of Brock Lesnar.
But where I will say the biggest difference though is, unless it was a absolute positive crazy ass situation, motherfuckers didn't kick out of that leg drop.
Right.
But they kick out of the F5 all the time. So in the reality, if we're trying to make it a shoot, brother, the leg drop's more effective than the F5.
I agree.
Of Lesnar, though.
Oh, me too. I'm not in no way, shape, or form. I was just talking about in this topic that we were talking about with killing the moves.
That's the only thing that Mark Melrose ever said in his entire life where I was like, that's a great fucking promo.
I'll put it like this: I'm not afraid of him because any man will go down if you grab him by the balls.
I think he just looked at you and be like,
You tell me you grab a hold of his testicles and start twisting, he's not coming down to your level.
Nope. I think he's just gonna, those are male.
Yeah, that's where you run. That's the point when you run.
It's my favorite thing Mark Merrow ever said. He said that Sable went back to Sable was like, I think I'm gonna go back and work for Vince, and he was like, okay. And then like he was calling her like every week and she was answering and then she wasn't answering. And then he knew how the WWE worked and the wrestling business works. And he was like, oh, she's cheating on me. Because she's not answering the phone now. And he was like, she's cheating on me. So I'm going to, and he was a Golden Gloves boxer, and he was like, when I find out who Rena's cheating on me with, I'm going to knock him out. And then he found out it was Brock Lesnar, and he's like, that's okay.
You can have her.
Yeah. I understand.
She's not worth it, bro.
Cool. It's like when you find out your wife was cheating on you with Brock Lesnar, he was like, you just go, okay. I'm not going to do that.
Like I said, Ricky Santana wins this match with a sunset flip. And the note that I have before the whole thing, the after match, was sometimes Hugo Savinovich in English doesn't translate well, and he said that Ricky Santana has successfully defeated Mr. Pogo. But what it sounded like he said Ricky Santana. Homo? No. It sounded like he said Ricky Santana has sexually defeated Mr. Pogo. I was like, what match were you watching, brother?
That was behind the scenes take, huh?
Yeah, that was Mr. Homo. Somebody got stabbed in the shower
by a pogo stick. Yeah, so the Mr. Pogo attacks Santana after the match and puts on his Cobra hold, which causes the Battens to come out as baby faces to help Ricky Santana, and he's foaming at the mouth because of the Cobra hold.
I'm wondering which one of them had the shaving cream in their pocket.
The other thing, I don't know if
Santana had Alka-Seltzer. It was Alka-Seltzer.
The other thing, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but worst acted paramedics for a stretcher job ever.
They like slung him.
Yeah, they like drug him, and then they just like threw him on the little stretcher thing and ran up the thing. He was almost falling. I was like, this is like Keystone Cops.
If he's not fucked up, he will be shortly.
What I pictured was the song from Benny Hill, Yakety Sax.
It's the same fucking thing that they played when they took Brody out, but it was like a slower theme.
It was the Undertaker funeral march.
But yeah, I was like, God damn, they're just throwing this dude around.
I noticed that shit too. I was like, whoa.
Like, you realize he's jizzing out of his mouth, right? Like, he's upside down right now. Like, take care of him better.
Like pull his tongue out. Make sure he's not choking on you, idiot. Make it look real.
You would think you'd have experience with this in the territory you work in.
Bro, I'm going to be 100 with you. Right then, my Siri picked up. And what I said, she responded with, "That's not nice." Siri just scalded me.
Siri's your producer. Well, the next match on this show is the Battens, who are doing commentary for their own match.
Well,
against
honestly, the next match that it was supposed to be the lost. There's a match in here that didn't happen.
Well, I guess I didn't catch that.
I did because I was trying to like write the matches down because I don't speak El Spano and I don't spell it either. But there is supposed to be Los Gremlos and one of the Battens versus the fucking dude that you said you didn't know who the manager was. What was his name?
Mr. Prophet or El Prophet?
Lost Prophet and some other dude, and then they just went into the Sheep Herders versus the Battens. I'm like, well, there's this fucking lost match.
Well, if that one didn't make the cut and these did, that tells you the standard that they had.
Yeah. And when fucking Ricky Santana coughed up his own jizz, they were like, we can't go into this next match.
Well, it is the Battens versus the New Zealand Sheep Herders, who are at this point in between World Class and the WWF, or World Class, Crockett in the WWF. And a few notes about this. This is where I really noticed that the Battens were doing, because one's still a heel and the other one's a babyface still during this match. And that one of the fucking idiots,
Bart,
keeps calling them the New England Sheep Herders, not the New Zealand Sheep Herders.
Yeah.
The New
Bart,
England.
Bart is the asshole.
Where the new, I was trying to do a like a Maine or a Vermont kind of accent. The New England Sheep Herders.
To me, when I saw these Batten guys, I was like, man, I never knew Billy Ray Cyrus had facial hair.
Batten Ray Cyrus.
I was like, whoa.
And did you notice how stubby their arms were? They have like baby arms.
T-Rex arm.
Could you imagine the dude trying to lock up with him? Like
I got to come 3/4 of the way.
It's like, all right.
My notes on this are
You got little plier arms. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here.
my notes on it are about the New England thing, and then I put the match isn't terrible, but the commentary is fucking annoying. Like,
yes,
listen to those two commentate during this match. They were starting to get on my nerves. Like, I'm like, I hate this. I hate this commentary.
Also, too, like observation that I made, like watching the Sheep Herders here and then watching them as the Whackers, them guys really came a long fucking way.
They did, and I knew we were probably gonna, and I was actually looking forward to it. I knew we were gonna get into like a Bushwhackers type conversation with it. Like, this is the tail end of Luke Williams and Butch Miller doing the hardcore type wrestling that they did, because they were ECW before ECW.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the stories and saw some footage of stuff where they were brutal. And just watching this match, it was like, man, watching them as the Whackers is way better than this match.
Yeah. And where I get pissed off a lot of times with people talking about, like, oh, this person or that person or this team were so much better before they got to the WWF, Luke and Butch understood that they only had so many bumps on their card, and now they've punched all those bumps on their card, and they got to Vince, and Vince just said, "Be silly and have fun."
Yeah, and they got another eight years.
They made so much more money after this, and they went from 88 to 96, made more money than they ever made, didn't have to fucking blade every fucking night, didn't have to bump every fucking night. And now I think Luke's sicker than Butch, but when they go to a convention, are they like, oh,
No, one of them's dead, ain't they?
No, they're both still alive.
They're still both alive. I think Luke lost his foot, I think, and that's why he doesn't do a lot of shit. But when they go to conventions, are they like, oh, we're Butch Miller and Luke Williams, the sheep herders, or did they go to a convention and say we're Butch and Luke, the Bushwhackers, WWE Hall of Famers?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's what pisses. And we have probably talked about it a lot on other shows, but that's where it pisses me off. Of Vince at that time gave a lot of guys a landing pad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right.
Bill Eadie doesn't dress as the masked superstar when he goes
Unless
to
you ask him.
Yeah, he'll put the mat. But what I'm saying is, when he's advertised as Acts of Demolition. He's not advertised as the masked superstar. So
because he punched those fucking holes on that. That's like when you try to get a fucking free sub, he punched those fucking bump cards too. And
Jim Duggan carries the 2x4 and says USA. He doesn't act like Mid-South Jim Duggan when he goes to a convention.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, like Jim Duggan being a Mid-South wasn't cool either.
No, it was. It was cool as shit. But no, I was just trying to extenuate on your point.
Like those guys, like Xbox said it. Like he talked about it was weird after he got out of the business and was like starting to train guys and do this, that, and the other thing. Like he said, guys would start on the indies and try to get to the WWE. And he's like, now guys are starting in the WWE and they wind up on the indies. He's like, it's fucking weird. Like Chris Masters, you know what I mean? Like Chris Masters started his career working for Vince and not knowing what the fuck he was doing. And now if you watch him on the independent circuit and you watch him on a card, he's like the best fucking worker on the whole thing. You know?
Yeah, he's doing shit with NWA now, right? Chris Adonis is his ring name.
Yeah. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that's what Pac said, but it's like flipped.
Right, that's a perfect example as to what you were stating.
Well, we get a ref bump here in this match, and one of the sheep herders uses the flagpole on one of the battens. The sheep herders win the titles.
Did you notice how he gyrated before he hit him?
I did not.
He was gyrating on the floor. I'm like, what the fuck?
Nate, well, I have a stupid note, Nate. It's a stupid note, and it's disrespectful, but it's a stupid note. Do you know what it is?
Well, I mean, we expect no less from you, Aaron.
I just read my stupid note. It's like, do you think that sheep herder stole Gene Anderson's gimmick? Because they're just like twitching and shit. It's fucking rude. I'm sorry.
He'll never hear it. He's dead.
I know, but that made him so much fucking cooler and
he looked like crazy.
Like fucking Arn would be talking, or Ole would be talking, and Gene would just be back there like
twitching. Yeah.
And he had no control of it. But anyway,
they essentially do the dusty finish here, where the other referee comes out and they reverse the decision, and the Sheepherders do not win the titles from the Battens. The match wasn't fantastic. It wasn't awful.
I actually gave it 3 stars.
The commentary got on my nerves. I think I would have enjoyed the match more if they would have brought somebody else in to call it with Hugo, other than these two clowns.
Right, instead of calling the match that they're fucking working.
Yeah, because it took away from the match, because then they started arguing about the Sheepherders, and then anyway, the next match I have a note on. The next match is Wahoo McDaniel versus Dan Spivey. My only note is Wahoo wins a bad match with a roll-up. But my question to you guys before, if you have anything more to elaborate on this bad match with a roll-up, it's the age-old thing. I say it all the time. Anytime we review anything he's on or talk about him, why couldn't they ever fucking figure out if it was Wahoo McDaniel or Wahoo McDaniels?
Because he probably stirred every time he told somebody his name.
But literally, like on Crockett, it would say Wahoo McDaniel, no S, and then like the commentary would be like Wahoo McDaniels, and then here, when they had the little thing before the match that showed you what the match was going to be, it said Wahoo McDaniels, and then during commentary they were calling him Wahoo McDaniel. But anyway. I have no other notes on the match.
The only thing that I mentally noted about this was it looked like Dan Spivey stole Sabu's pants and Jake the Snake's boots.
See, I didn't put that. I was like, fucking Dan Spivey was high energy before high energy. He's wearing high energy pants.
Yeah. He was the original Funkasaurus.
Spivey's on a roll. Spivey's on a roll.
Just call him Butter because he is on a roll.
Call me Jelly because I'm on the lamb. Grandpa Simpson. That's one of Grandpa Simpson's greatest lines.
And this is when Bart Batten like totally turns heel. Bart Batten's heel now. He starts calling him Mick Spivey, which is stupid. And he's now trying to be a fucking witty heel, which he's not. He's just a stupid baby-armed fuck.
I mean, at first glance, you get dumb redneck vibes from these guys. Like, I'm like, who hired Billy Bob and fucking Curtis?
Billy Bob and Curtis. But yeah, this fucking match is terrible.
That was awful. I don't know. I would never, ever say, and I know you have to go back. You have to put yourself in the time where someone wrestled. You have to put yourself in the territory when someone wrestled because of the territory days. And I will never deny, because from every account that I've ever heard, Wahoo McDaniel is a badass motherfucker. But I have never been excited by watching Wahoo McDaniel. I just have to say it. Like, I'm not even trying to shit on him. I just don't see it.
Right.
And again, I wasn't alive in Charlotte in 1973 to see him at the Coliseum. Maybe he tore the fucking house down.
I don't see the match. Okay. Like, but what I see in every Wahoo thing I've ever seen is him hitting somebody.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He's a badass. I'm not going to take that away from him. And so many guys like Flair and stuff respect him and stuff. And I get it. I just don't. I can't say that I'm a Wahoo fan.
He's one of those old guys that I know a couple old guys still to this day that when they walk, like because Nate said, like, I like to go to bars and shit. I see old guys now that walk in bars, and I'm just, and they know me and they're friendly with me. But I've seen guys try to like step up to him or whatever, and I just look at people like, don't fuck with that guy because he'll fuck you up.
Right.
Wahoo was on Harley level,
Mm-hmm.
or was, because neither one of them are still with us, obviously. But I wouldn't fuck with that dude if he's on oxygen.
Right.
Like,
I thought of a better comparison for the Battens. They look like they should be roadies for the band Confederate Railroad.
Oof.
You know the ones I'm talking about, the one that sang that song.
Yeah.
I like my women just a little
Yeah.
on the trashy side.
On the
Yeah,
trashy
they look like they're over there boot scooting to that shit.
They're also on that show, Georgia Satellite.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else on this match, because I literally have nothing.
Mm-mm.
Did you guys actually watch this show?
Yes.
Yeah.
How you think we know what these motherfuckers look like and how crappy it was?
Well, when they pitched to the next match, Hugo's talking, and then it just goes. Brrr. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
So I'm like, one of those Battens just got super filthy. Like they had to he got so explicit that they had to fucking cut it out of the video. So Hugo was like, let's pitch to the next match. It's gonna be Invader 3 versus Chicky Star, and Bark Batten was like, these fucking cunt sucking motherfucking asshole licking sons of bitches, and they just had to edit it off.
Yeah, there's only one match. There's actually only one match in this show that I fast forwarded through because I had no interest in watching it, but we'll get to that.
Oh, it wasn't this one?
It has one of my least favorite wrestlers of all time in it, and not Ron Garvin.
I know, but this is going to be my favorite thing. Nate had to watch a show with Ronnie Garvin and Bobby Jaggers on it.
Ronnie Garvin, my tune has changed on Garvin over the years because I used to loathe Ronnie Garvin, and I kind of still do. I mean, I don't like his promos and stuff and all that, but as I get older and I see it, I can see where it's kind of like Wahoo. I can see where why the people liked him.
Right. The more because you understand the business more now than you did back then also.
But the next thing on this show is footage from Chicky Star's sports shop.
What and
apparently he's feuding with Invader 3. Invader 3 shows up dressed as Super Medic. And he whacks the fuck out of Chicky Star with that.
He smacked a vagina into his head.
The way to the white meat.
That was a shoot, bro. He smacked the fuck out of that dude with that board.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn.
That shit wasn't gimmicked. He grabbed the wrong board.
I wrote down. Hold on, let me get through this. I watched that board spot, and I was like Uma Thurman when she takes the rail of coke on Pulp Fiction. I said, God damn.
Or tell Jake Roberts, you're a fucking pussy. You took a guitar? Look at Chicky Star.
And then they proceed to show you the doctors stitching up his nasty wound.
The big gaping hole in the back of his head.
But goddamn, man, that dude got fucking whacked with that. And that board was not fixed. That board was not rigged. That was a hard ass board on his head.
And that's what I'm telling Jake Roberts to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. I was like, damn.
But anyway, effective wrestling angle. I got to give it to him.
Hey, that's what you call fucking dedication there. Don't gimmick that son of a bitch. Whack the piss out of me, buddy. As you wish, sir.
I want to shit myself when you hit me with that board.
Your wishes, my command. Whack. Oh fuck.
But then they have their match,
and it was good.
It's Invader 3 and Chicky Star, and my notes on the match were that it is a good brawl, and these two guys did their job as pro wrestlers, because I think watching this, pretty much even including the main event, this match was over like Rover. Like, the people were into this match.
The only qualm I really have with it is that it could have been a little shorter.
I literally have that written down. This is too long. It's too long. But for if it would have been 5 minutes shorter, I probably would have given it like 3.5 stars.
Right.
Because it was a good brawl. And again, we didn't live in Puerto Rico in 1988, so obviously we don't have the whole story on these guys. It seems to me like they have a pretty blood feud going on. Right. So for all intents and purposes, it did everything it needed to do, and I didn't hate it at all. And man, that Invader was over as fuck.
That shit with that damn board though, frick. That's one of them cringe moments, bro. I was like, there ain't no faking that. It ain't like they put a stake on the back of his head or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
And just hit it right here where it gets the capsule or something. It wasn't none of that. It was like, man, he's got a gaper on his head.
And
he's got Tammy Cinch's vagina on the back of his head.
Sunny days for Chicky Star.
I don't want to say, like, what you guys are saying, like, this is the first match that you were invested in, right?
Nah, I enjoyed the sheep herders.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, this is the first match where we're just like, oh man, this is really cool.
Yeah,
it did this and it did that. It's because
it had that shoot element to it.
It told you something that was going into the match,
right?
You know what I mean? And we only saw 3 minutes of the angle these guys were running. You know what I mean? So we only saw the tail end of it. Like, imagine all of the shit that went into it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you listen to the commentary, there was like the story of the fact that Chicky Star paid, man, you guys might not even know this. Did you hear the rest of the story?
Yeah.
Why it was Super Medic? Like, Super Medic was Invader 3's friend and gave him his mask. And the reason Invader 3 wanted to attack Chicky Star is because Chicky Star paid Manny Fernandez to break Invader 3's leg and do all this shit. So we didn't even see all of that. But we only got 3 minutes of this fucking angle. And we're talking about, like, this is the best match on the card so far. Because it told a fucking story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get a story with Rufus R. Jones and Jimmy Valiant versus.
Probably because there wasn't one.
What the fuck would have been the story?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what's great about fucking pro wrestling is that it's not the match. The match is secondary. It's the fucking story.
I mean, I could like fathom a story. Fucking Rufus R. Jones was traveling through town, stopped at the gas station, and the guy that was pumping his gas told him, "Get in the truck. You're going to be my partner."
I got this idea for a store, Daddy. I got this idea for a store.
It's a Rufus and Jimmy's Piss Emporium.
Think about it. Tires and carpet remnant. All right.
It all smells like piss.
The match, like I said, my only negative note was the same thing Mark had. I thought the match was too long. And Chicky Star winds up winning, so apparently this feud is not over between Chicky Star and Invader 3. Kind of a creative finish, actually. Invader tries to bring Chicky Star off the top rope, and his own momentum, since Chicky holds on to the ropes, his own momentum hits him to the mat so hard that it kind of knocks him silly, and so Chicky Star kind of gets a fluke win over the Invader.
And like I said, I don't know a lot about Puerto Rican wrestling or whatever, but the vibe I got from it was that Chicky Star was kind of like the Flair of their territory. Does that make sense? Like the Ric Flair of their territory, like the flamboyant guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only one dude with the name Chick has ever, impressed me, and his last name's Donovan.
The next match is a match between two guys who were obviously getting a payday to be on this show, and they didn't want to work very hard. They wanted to rest on their laurels as former world heavyweight champions. It's Ron Garvin versus the Iron Sheik.
Good for them, by the way, on that.
Oh, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. This is like watching, when you go to an indie show and
they
the
have some former talent.
The honky tonk man's going to wrestle Doink. So they're just going to do like stalling for a few minutes. Somebody's going to get choked, and then we're both going to get counted out or some shit. That's literally what this is. It's just like an indie legends match between Garvin and Iron Sheik. It's just kind of there, to have some star power on the card. I get why they put it there. I understand. It's business. But it wasn't good. I mean, it was boring. It wasn't good.
I mean, Sheik did normal Sheik tactics, and Garvin sold like a motherfucker.
Aaron?
They both did what they were supposed to do.
Essentially, yeah. And then they wind up fighting outside the ring after about 4.5 minutes, maybe, and they get up to the 20 count. Garvin rolls in at the last second, so he gets to win the match by disqualification.
They were probably both like, Carlos talked us both down on our asking price, so we're just going to go out here and give them something.
Fuck it, a Carlos Colon.
He's a real Colon.
Fuck him in the colon.
And in the commentary, the main thing I learned was that Bobby Jaggers. Bobby Jaggers is apparently a fucking prick in Puerto Rico. Like, they fucking hate him there. Because like, Hugo was trying to be like a babyface commentator, and the buttheads are trying to, like, be heel. But the only thing that the buttheads and Hugo can agree upon is that Bobby Jaggers is an asshole.
But then they don't even agree on that later on.
But at this point,
because the Battens are in the buttheads are in a sea of change here during this 2-hour videotape. So the next match on this show is the one that I fast forwarded through because it has awful Bobby Jaggers in it. It is Bobby Jaggers and Dan Croffett.
You shouldn't have fast forwarded through this.
Against Miguelito Perez and Hurricane Castillo Jr., the Barrio Brothers.
You shouldn't have fast forwarded through
it. The Barrio Boys. Well, I did.
Well, you shouldn't have.
I fast forwarded to the finish.
It's the best fucking match on the show. Honestly, it is. I'm not being
facetious.
I'm not being facetious. This is the best match on the show. And I will give you guys, without Googling, Mark, did you Google?
What?
This match or this show? Did you Google any of this?
No.
Okay. Nate, you didn't watch the match, you didn't Google it, whatever?
Nope.
Who's Dan Croffett?
Who's Dan Croffett?
What is his other name?
I bet at one point in my life I knew this, and I just don't know it right now.
Who is Dan Croffett?
Is Dan Croffett Phil LaFawn?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I know this. I fucking know this.
This is Miguel Perez and Hurricane Costello. So Miguel Perez, they call him
Miguelito
Perez. It's Miguel Perez from the Los Boricuas, the hairy guy. That's him. And his
Burgers.
It's Furburgers and Bobby Jaggers and Phil LaFawn. Bobby Jaggers does nothing in this fucking match. Like, he is just on the outside. So Philip LaFawn.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but wasn't Hurricane one of the Los Boricuas too?
He might have been. I think Bob Dylan wrote a song about him too. But
Yay! He's a hurricane.
Hurricane. The authority's the man. What? Like, anyway. This fucking match is a tag team match. It's hair versus hair. It's for the titles. Bobby Jaggers and we'll call him Dan Crockett because that's what he's called at the time. Were
looks like the redneck Outback Jack.
They were blonde-haired white guys wearing cowboy hats, coming into the fucking territory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like playing the redneck white guy heel gimmick. And this fucking match was the match of the fucking show. And I'm really kind of pissed off that you didn't watch it.
They look like they should have been in the stable with the Battens.
I didn't watch it. I never will be, or I never will, and I'll never. I'm not pissed I didn't.
Yeah, for real.
You didn't. I'm pissed off you didn't, because they shitbag Bobby Jaggers the entire match.
Good.
All of them did. Like, they come out and they're like, "Oh, look at that! Look at that! That belt on that Adonis," and they're just like, "Oh, you're definitely not talking about Bobby Jaggers."
Like, to put it in perspective, folks, I'm a huge fan of Dutch Mantel, and when he teamed with Bobby Jaggers and Crockett, I don't watch Dutch Mantel. I hate Bobby Jaggers. I can't stand Bobby Jaggers. He's like my least 5 favorite wrestlers of all time.
But the coolest funny thing about the team they're selling is they're calling them the new what was Jaggers and Dutch together? Kansas Jayhawks.
Kansas Jayhawks.
Dan Crockett and Bobby Jaggers are the new Kansas Jayhawks. And Dan Crockett's like a French Canadian.
Yeah.
But he's got his hair dyed blonde and he's fucking working his fucking ass off. Like, Nate, seriously, I know you don't want to watch it or you didn't watch it, but go back and watch this fucking match. It is fucking tremendous.
I will definitely take your word for it.
It's a very good fucking match. Crofett's working his ass off. Miguel Perez and Castillo, they're doing a good job. The brawl starts out. They wind out. Like, the match starts. They all bump out into the fucking soccer field. They smash Crockett and Jaggers into, like, the scaffolding. It's already started raining, so there's, like, mud everywhere. So everybody's all fucking muddy and shit. Crockett ends up hitting a good-looking fucking powerbomb. Crockett ends up going over the top rope. And he goes over the top rope, and the fans fucking pop for over the top rope. Because in Puerto Rico or 80s wrestling, that's a disqualification.
Which is lame as fuck to me.
But you also have to understand how cool it was back in the day that throwing somebody over the top rope got a fucking pop.
Yeah.
You do that now. You do that now and it goes to a fucking commercial.
Lies. It happens in the Royal Rumble all the time.
I didn't watch the Royal Rumble. I'm just saying now, it's like that shit happens. And they're going back and forth. Like I said, Crockett got bumped out over the top rope because obviously Jaggers isn't going to do that. He had man tits. I'm just going to say he had like man tits. But Crockett,
bitch tits Bobby Jaggers.
Well, all right.
That's his new name.
Crockett gets bumped over the top rope. and there's no disqualification because this match is a no disqualification hair versus hair match. And Crawford ends up getting back in the ring. They exchange some more shit, and Crawford goes for, he sends Hurricane Costello or whatever into the ropes, and Crawford goes to monkey flip him, but Hurricane drops down like Crawford's legs. Now, you didn't watch the match, so you don't know what I'm fucking saying, so I gotta show you. Crawford,
Because
I
saw the finish.
Fucking okay. So you saw the finish.
Yeah. I went from the opening bell to the finish.
Okay, so you saw Crawford try to monkey flip him, and Hurricane drop his legs down, which is a cool fucking finish. Tell me it ain't.
No, it's fine.
It's a cool. I've never seen that shit in that way. And Hurricane pins him 1, 2, 3, and then Crawford and Jaggers get their head shaved.
They try to powder. Sabio Vega, TNT, comes out. And what I wrote down here was, it doesn't look like the TNT gimmick is fully formed at this point because he just got like underwear on his head or whatever. He looks kind of cheap here. Everybody knows how much I love me some Savio. Savio is one of my favorites. I love Savio Vega. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. But at this point, he was still fleshing himself out because I was like, he looks dollar store here.
Yeah. How big of a missed opportunity was it that he didn't have him come out to the Scorpion song?
It looks like when Turner was just playing like baseball.
Yeah,
and fucking Andy Griffith.
But yeah, like I said, TNT comes out to help hold down Crawford, and they didn't bring any clippers to this show, folks. They cut these motherfuckers' hair with scissors.
Yep,
for like 12 minutes, what it seemed like. It seemed to go on forever. And of course, they bring up Hugo brings up that they have black roots.
Yeah,
when they're cutting their hair, and
I thought Kunta Kinte was going to come out.
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, they delivered on the stipulation.
Fucking Crawford was going to be like, my name is. Never mind. I won't say
it. Controversial.
I won't say it.
But yeah, like I said, they delivered on the stipulation, and Jaggers and Crawford lose their hair, and that is that. And like Aaron said, you guys should check the match out. Give it a look. Find it on the YouTube.
You should, but Nate won't.
No, I'm not going to.
Match.
Dude. The next match is our main event, and it is the fire match. And I wrote down, it looks like it should be called the "We're Making S'mores" match.
It looked like they were burning little fucking toilet paper rolls.
They had rags around the ring attached to some sort of a wire, and they set them all on fire. And it's Carlos Colon against Hercules Ayala. And apparently we got a good angle out of this too. They talk about how Carlos was receiving an award, and Hercules came out and not only pushed down Carlos, but also pushed down his wife.
Yeah, I think he fucked his wife or something, didn't he?
Yeah, and Carlos wants the ultimate revenge, so he's going to face Hercules Ayala in a fire match. Again, I mean, the aesthetics there, and I mean, anytime fire's surrounding the ring, it's impressive. But I just thought it was funny because the little things of rag that they have on the wire around the ring look like little marshmallows. So it looks like they're roasting big marshmallows around the ring for these guys to get their hand and head. Mostly they touch the fire with their hand or their hair.
I wonder if this was a precursor to the Inferno match.
Yeah, I mean, you got, it's and I don't know if any other promotion had done this before. A few years later, FMW in Japan is going to blow things up and and all
C4
that kind of
death
stuff.
matches and shit.
I don't know. I mean, I know they actually talk about during the match the origin of the fire match and who invented it. So they had obviously had matches like this before, but I don't know if anybody but Puerto Rico had done a fire match at this point.
I don't think they had. Well, maybe. No, Anita did. It might have been Onita.
I think Onita did it after this, though.
Let's look this up. Let's look this up.
And what I'll say about this is, I don't give the match itself.
There's that crazy ass fire match in fucking Japan, but that was FNW, so I'm wrong.
But the match itself, I mean, the in-ring action, it's not stellar. But, I mean, it's a good spectacle, and that's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a spectacle. It wasn't meant to be a 5-star wrestling match.
And that's where I put in my notes, which I tossed down because there's not a lot of notes of this match, is that aesthetically, it looks fucking crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You look at this shit and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But once the match starts, they don't do anything in the match.
No, they don't.
Like that what's his name? Hercules
Ayaya.
He bleeds like buckets, but the match itself, it's nothing. And it's I don't want to say it. And I'm not knocking the guys. I'm not knocking Carlos or Hercules for doing it. But like when they look like they're getting burned, they're not actually getting burned. You know what I mean? Like the fire's away, but visually it looks like it's burning them up.
Mm-hmm.
But the fire's away from the ropes, so they're doing what you're supposed to do in wrestling.
There were a couple of times where Carlos did though. Like he made, I could watch him and he made Hercules like at least put his hand in the flame. So it looked like he also.
What I'm saying, it's not like a burn.
No. And he also, what I will say, another thing I will say, and I don't know if this part was an accident or not, if he got too close, but there is one point where for a minute, literally a minute, but for a minute there, Carlos's hair is on fire. And they recover it good. Like Ayaya puts it out by pretending he's punching him in that spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, overall, it wasn't a great match, but it was a good spectacle. Every match doesn't have to be a great match. It can be a good spectacle.
And with the longest figure 4 in history.
Yeah. What'd you find out there, Mr. Researcher?
Yeah, only thing it pulls up when you type in fire match is the fucking Inferno match. And this is way...
Yeah, this is 10 years before the Inferno
10 years
match.
That.
Well, anyway, but like I said, they do talk about the fact that they've had these matches in Puerto Rico before because they talk about the guy that invented them. I have to plead the fifth and say I do not remember the name of the gentleman, but
like El Boogie or something.
El Boogie. The Boogie. It reminds me of Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live when he plays El Nino. And they're like, yeah, he's El Nino, and they're like, what does it mean? And he's like, the Nino. But anyway,
the Boogie.
That's that. Like Aaron said, longest figure 4 ever, which Carlos puts on Hercules. Hercules kind of passes out, so the referee calls the match in favor of Carlos Colon. What's that?
He probably fell asleep. I don't think he passed out from pain. I think he fell asleep.
Well,
it's narcoleptic Hercules Ayaya.
What it says is it's documented as starting in Puerto Rico. That's it. That's all I'm finding.
All right. So I guess that's that kind of answers our question as to who did it first. Was it what came first, the chicken or the egg? This is something probably that Japan stole from Puerto Rico. I'm pretty sure Anita probably worked in Puerto Rico. Onita seems like a guy that probably worked in Puerto Rico, so he probably picked it up there.
See, because it's saying one of the first fire matches was held in '92, but it also mentions that Cologne in them match says Tarzan, Goto, Atushi, Onita clash with Sabu and the Sheik.
Yeah, and that's after
That's
this.
the crazy one I
Right.
was talking about.
So
We're gonna give the credit to Puerto Rico for that one.
indeed.
We're gonna give it to El Boogie.
El Boogie, the Boogie.
But looking up the amount of different death match types, Lord have mercy.
Oh man, I don't know how much FMW you've watched, Mark.
We can get
But-
piranha matches and
Go. Maybe we should do that. We should find out a bunch of FMW on YouTube and just.
I'll find it.
I have somewhere in my DVDs around here. I have a couple of FMW DVDs I bought back in the day.
I do too. But I find shit on YouTube, bitches.
Well, I mean, it just says like barbed wire baseball bat match, barbed wire cage match, barbed wire bumps match, barbed wire boards match, spider net match.
There's an episode of this show. There've been a couple of episodes of this show. For those of you that don't know, my wife is not a big wrestling fan. She tolerates wrestling when I'm watching it, as Aaron knows from coming over here and watching pay-per-views and stuff. He knows usually when I'm watching it, she just puts her headphones in and does shit on her phone. Every once in a while, something captures her attention. Like she's a big fan of Kane and The Undertaker. But so I've had a couple of episodes of the show where they're just wife watches wrestling. Like I have her watch stuff that I want her as a non-wrestling fan to see. Like we watched the I Quit match from the Royal Rumble 99 between Mick Foley and The Rock. I had her watch that. I had her watch the Hell in the Cell with Taker and Mankind. So in other words, I make her watch shit just like, what the fuck? But she's watched I did an episode of that with her, and I had her watch the Exploding Ring match from FMW. And that's a blast. Excuse the pun. But yeah. So anyway.
Whoa, this type of match sounds pretty cool. It's a Taipei death match. You know what that is?
Is that the one where they put their fists in the glass?
Yeah, they dip their gloves into the glue and then roll their hands.
Ian and Axel Rotten had one of those in ECW.
We're gonna have to watch it soon.
Yes, we are. It's coming up on Reliving the Extreme here soon. But that is that for the World Wrestling Council. Oh, no, it's not. We have the close. The Battens are fully heel, ladies and gentlemen. The turn is complete. They are fully heel at the end of the show, and they have like 7 times the personality they did at the beginning of the show.
It's somewhat worse.
Yeah, they ain't good at any role.
Possible.
They're not good in any role, but they have switched roles as this tape has gone on. But that's it, guys. Overall, let's say, what do you grade this show? I gave it a C.
I gave it a C minus.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll go with C.
It was a C.
There was enough bad to there was enough good to counter the bad, but not enough to make it good. I guess. I don't know.
There was enough I don't want to say it. Enough different type of shit on it. You know what I mean? Like seeing like Ronnie Garvin versus the Iron Sheik. That was fun. Dan Croffett. Like I'm watching the show. I'm like, oh fuck, Dan Croffett. And I know you don't like Bobby Jaggers, but it's like fucking Dan Croffett, Phil LaFon team with Baggy Rogers. I call him Baggy Rogers. I just call him that. I called him that. Like I didn't know that happened. You know what I mean? So this was like I'm a Philip LaFon fan, and I watched like shit with him and Doug Furnace in Japan. Like I'll watch that. I'll sit down and watch a fucking Doug Furnace Phil LaFon match or Dan Crawford match, watching them fight 2 Japanese wrestlers and enjoy it. But I didn't know he went to Japan or went to Puerto Rico and dyed his hair blonde and fucking worked. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of shit on this show that I didn't know about.
If this show was a steak, it would be a Bob Evans steak.
Yeah, it was enjoyable,
but it wasn't great.
It wasn't great, and I'm probably gonna have to take a big dump afterwards. Like, I'm gonna get bubble gut from the steak, but I'm not mad about it.
There were some fatty bits.
Yeah.
I had to gnaw on it a little more than I would a good steak.
Yeah, I had to cut deep into it to get to the end. But
it's the kind of steak you got to put some steak sauce on. Like a good steak should never have to have steak sauce on it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this fucking match. Or this match. I enjoyed that match, but I enjoyed this show. And it was fun because it was different. And that's why I kind of picked it, because it was out of our wheelhouse and what we normally watch.
Well, spoiler alert. Oh, Mark, go ahead. Did you have anything else?
Do you already got something lined up for the next show?
I do. That's why I said spoiler alert. Or I was saying spoiler alert. Was the show that I found the other night when we were discussing what we were going to discuss, since Archie gave us a show that you can't find anywhere.
Yeah, he pulled it out of his ass, and then he bitched about it. It's like, how are you going to bitch about watching something that exists after you tried to tell me to watch something that doesn't fucking exist? Go ahead.
But no, next time we are going to be reviewing World Class Championship Wrestling Parade of Champions 1987. So not one of the good Parade of Champions, one of the WCCW is fucking dying Parade of Champions.
That's not the one where Fritz has the heart attack, is it?
No, that's at one of the Reunion Arena deals. That's not at a Parade of Champions. That's at forget what they called those Reunion Arena shows, but
Star Wars.
Well, I have a
Star Wars. Yes, that was at a Star Wars.
I have a proposition.
All right,
we review that one next, and between now and then, I scour the internet to find some show for us to watch that's actually bearable.
I think you can, and I think that is approved. And we also now have on the books that we will watch in the future, coming up very soon, some FMW from Japan. I'm especially excited to watch that because you haven't seen it, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get somebody who hasn't seen its perspective on it at the time.
Is that the same promotion that did that Leatherface versus Freddy Krueger fucking hardcore style match?
Yes.
I've seen that. I was like, what in the flying fuck is going on here? But
there are some, we talked about the word spectacle earlier.
Uh-huh.
FMW might have actually got spectacle better than any wrestling promotion in history. Honest to God. I mean,
Parade of Champions.
Like there's garbage wrestling. Like Ian Rotten's promotion and shit like that, and GCW, that light tube shit and all that. For some reason, I don't know why, because some of it is... I don't know why I should look at FMW as garbage wrestling, because there's so much stuff where you're like, that's
the thing is though,
I don't know. I'm trying to defend myself here, because why do I like FMW, but I don't like
defend yourself. The reason the FMW shit was tolerable is because the people that were doing it were still talented.
I'll say this: I'd rather watch a montage of Chad Austin's best matches than have to watch the World Wrestling Council again.
like FMW, and so the next thing we're doing though is the Parade of Champions, right?
Yes,
87, correct?
87. I think it's 87. I'll let you guys know for sure. I have the video queued up on my YouTube, but.
And is that on the cock?
I don't believe so. I think that what I found was on YouTube.
Okay. Either way,
because a lot of times back then, with World Class, when they do a show like that, it would be one of those things like ECW did, like we've talked about on that show, where they break it up between a bunch of TV shows. So I tried to find the whole show.
Okay, well, I'll watch it either way. And after I say this, we can log off or whatever, because once I say something, it's gold. Well, you were saying about FMW and why do I not hate it as much as like you were talking about with like Ian and his shit?
Right.
Is FMW had guys like Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka,
Mick Foley,
and Hayabusa. These guys were fucking workers that could tell a story in what they were doing
instead of being some yardards.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like that term, but for lack of better words,
it applies.
Right.
It definitely applies.
It's a different thing than CZW. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, so that's why you can say that, or like Ricky Fuji was in fucking FMW. You know what I mean? Like
Terry Funk was in FMW.
Terry Funk was willing to do it. That's where I'm saying it's different. So,
well, that being said, unless you guys have anything else, I will do the sign off here.
Continue to watch and listen to all things on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network. Got some new stuff in the works.
Yes.
Gonna be bringing a lot more visual content.
Absolutely. Mark and I were discussing it the other night. He's got a show in the works that'll be a visual show for the network. I am working on stuff for YouTube, putting the podcasts up on there. And when I do interviews, like you can go check out my recent interview with John Arezzi of the Pro Wrestling Spotlight on our YouTube page. This week I will be doing an interview. It's going to be a double purpose interview, because it's been an interview for one of my other podcasts plus an interview for this show. And I will have it up on the network, on the YouTube page at some point as well. I'll be doing an interview with Brian R. Solomon, the gentleman that wrote the autobiography of the Sheik. So I will have him on coming up soon. And I have another idea that we've discussed, and these guys are willing to participate on a show we're going to do exclusively for our YouTube page, discussing cover to cover some old school wrestling magazines. I'm really excited to get into that as well. And of course, check out If You Smell What the Arch Is Cooking by the absentee Archie Mitchell. And
his Nothing But Trouble podcast.
And the Nothing But Trouble podcast, which is not necessarily wrestling. It's just a bunch of Archie and his buddies from Jersey. It's a fun listen. Aaron's show, The Year That Was.
It's our Jersey Shore.
What's Archie's other show? Is it Shout at Gout?
And of course,
Chad wasn't here to make an Archie joke. Sorry.
Yeah, you had to do it for him. And speaking of Chad, of course, every single week.
Go ahead, sorry.
Every single week, join Chad, Austin, Aaron, and myself for reliving the extreme. So that being said, we are going to sign off this week for the We Can't Wrestle podcast, and we will see you next time around, everybody. Of course, we're going to go down Texas way next time and review some world-class championship wrestling. I love to watch a territory die. Like, I love to watch like the last year of a territory or the last couple of years. So that'll entice me to want to watch this parade of champions. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great week.